Hey, this is Lomas Brown, the Pro.
And Deb Schneider, I'm the Prof. And together, we're the Pro and the Prof.
You say it gets you every time.
Every time I laugh at that.
I know. Man, well, Deb, welcome back. I mean, the Pro and the Prof. Wow, it's been a while.
It's been a while. I'm so excited.
I know. We've been on hiatus. So we've been chilling. But man, I feel refreshed. 2024 has been pretty good so far. A lot of things have happened. A lot of exciting things are coming up in the near future. So it's just been good so far. So how have you been?
Oh boy. Well, believe me, I watch the Lions every minute.
Oh yeah.
Every minute of that game. Oh
yes.
Yeah. So we've got the Lions, we've got the NFL draft coming up in about a month and a half.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, Lomas. You're going to be front and center there, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, I think the world of the NFL eyes are on Detroit, like you say, because of what the Lions did last year. Like what they just did this year, getting to the NFC Championship game and almost pulling it out. Man, 2 quarters away from the Super Bowl. So the excitement is still around here from the team.
Next year?
I know. It's going to be in New Orleans. So I couldn't think of a better party place to go for a Super Bowl than New Orleans. So hopefully they'll be able to make that happen. And with the draft coming, some additions, bringing some guys on to the team. And the great thing about the draft in 2024, it's in the great city of Detroit this year, Deb. It's in our backyard. It's going to be here, and it's going to be exciting. So much hype around the draft. So many preparations have been going on for a while to get ready for the draft. So many eyes are going to be on the draft. They're expecting 50 to 60 million people to tune in. That's the kind of audience that Detroit is going to have looking at them during the draft time. We're expecting 500,000 people here during the draft. That's a lot for our city, but
what's the economic impact of that?
Yeah,
because we were talking Kansas City, 180 million. Are we going to be bigger? Are we going to be better?
I think so. I think think about it geographically where we are. Think about all the cities that surround us. That's a short flight or maybe a short drive to get to Cleveland. You're talking about Chicago, Minnesota, all these places in the Midwest. Of course, we got the international border with Canada sitting 5 minutes from Detroit. So I think that'll bring our international friends over too. So I think we can. I really think we can with the proximity of Detroit. And I think it's some curiosity. I think people are curious. They heard about Detroit from the outside looking in. I think people want to really come here and see what Detroit is really about.
I think that's absolutely true. One of the things that's great about Detroit, I mean, both you and I choose to live here.
True.
What's your favorite thing about Detroit?
Oh man, that's good.
I know I didn't pre-ask you that.
Yeah,
What's your favorite thing about Detroit?
I think being able to do everything. You take advantage of all the seasons. I mean, even the winter months, there's things that you can do here. Of course, the summer, fall. We have all the seasons here. So I think having all the seasons here is probably my favorite part, even though I'm going through a rough stretch right now with winter here in Detroit.
We have no snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually going to fangirl here. I really, really like the fact that I can see all 4 big sports. I love the fact that I can see every sport. Very few cities have that, and especially in a small city. Detroit's kind of a small city.
Yeah.
That, and I think the architecture is phenomenal.
Yeah. We were talking about that earlier coming in here and stuff. So, yeah, I think people are going to be shocked from the outside. I think they're going to be shocked when they get to Detroit and just see how beautiful it is and see, like you see, some of the old architect how it's blended in with the modern and just how safe it is here. I mean, it's safe here. And that's what unfortunately, it's a lot that has to be looked into. And when you start talking about security, and I know the NFL does a wonderful job each and every year where they go at. So, part of that. And again, with our sports commission bringing sports here, they're talking about maybe a Final Four regional basketball coming here to Detroit. So it's a lot of things that are happening here in this region, and it's helping Detroit bounce back.
Absolutely. And I will say a lot of it has to do with sports. We have some really, really great new arenas that have been built that are helping out the city. Like I said, you can walk from Ford Field. You have Comerica Park. You have I keep wanting to call it the Little Caesars Arena. I mean, these are great facilities, great place to watch sports and to just walk around.
No,
and the food is good too.
Yeah, that's always good. So, what are we gonna get into too? What else were we talking about?
Let's stick with football a little bit, and let's talk about name, image, likeness in college football.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot going on right now with that. Back in 2015, Northwestern tried to unionize. The football team tried to unionize, and the National Labor Relations Board rejected jurisdiction. But just recently, Dartmouth and their basketball team got jurisdiction, and they're going to be voting on a union on, I believe, March 5th. Can you imagine that? Unionized college athletes. What would you...
I mean, I really can't. I mean, and, again, that like I was telling you, it seems like maybe a Dartman can do it, but I don't know how much weight that's going to carry, to be honest with you. I don't know how far that's going to go by, even if Dartman does unionize themselves, if that's going to make it widespread, or if you're going to have a lot of these other big colleges ready to jump on board. Again, I don't think these schools are going to go quietly. I don't think they want that. In your opinion, does a school want to be a union?
I don't think schools will not want to be unionized because they will have to provide salaries. I mean, they'll have to pay. We're not talking name, image, likeness. We're talking they will have to pay their athletes as employees, which means that we're going to be talking about working conditions. We're going to be talking about healthcare. We're going to be talking about workers' comp, all of that, which we have never talked about because the NCAA has always been built on the concept of amateurism.
Yeah. So again, happy for Dartmouth, especially if they could get that done. And they may start something with the smaller schools. Maybe that's a formula for the smaller schools, your NAIA schools, your D2 schools. Maybe that's a formula for them. But again, I don't know if they would frown upon that.
Oh, I'm going to completely disagree with you. I think once Dartmouth gets this union, every school, every private school that can, all the athletes are going to be voting on unions.
Private schools.
Okay. Public is a different animal, but we're talking about all those private schools, which would include a Northwestern, which could include a Stanford, a USC, all of those schools. I think the athletes are going to want to unionize.
Wow. That's going to be, but again, why would the schools want to unionize?
The schools do not want to
So
unionize.
that's what I'm saying. So there you go. I think you're going to get into another battle because I don't see the schools unionizing if they don't have to, and that's something that's going to be a detriment to them. I know the athletes carry a lot of weight. They do. But again, unless you're talking these Power 5 schools that got these big football programs.
It's a fascinating topic because we also have Title IX in women's sports. How do women's sports play? Do we pay the football players more than we pay the women gymnasts or the rowers? How do we figure out salaries for any of this?
That's what I'm saying. They don't want to go down this slope.
It's a sticky wicket, isn't it?
They don't want to go down this road. They don't.
No,
they
the
don't.
Schools don't. But the National Labor Relations Board, the General Counsel, put out a memo back in 2021, said she believes that college athletes are employees.
See, there you go. There's what I'm saying. There you go. You got politics jumping into athletics again. There you go. But I'm just saying it's not right. It's not right. It's not right for politicians start getting involved with these athletic programs or these schools. I don't understand that. But again, that's where we're leaning at. It seems like even before this NIL came about, that's what the guy that chaired the NCAA, he was calling for the politicians, the state and Republicans and all them to get involved. Come help us clean this mess up.
The NCAA actually drafted a bill that they gave to the United States Congress to try to regulate NIL.
That's crazy. So,
but that brings up the NCAA. I mean, the NCAA is asking for help.
Yeah, it won't be no more NCAA after a while. I just don't see it. I just see them going away, even from the standpoint of that basketball tournament. I just think they're cooking up something later on down the line. Because again, I don't see really what the purpose of the NCAA is anymore. Because, like you said, athletes are being paid. They're no longer amateur athletes.
Right. Well, athletes are getting paid. They're potentially going to be paid as employees of each school if they vote to unionize. Which, as you point out, is going to be really difficult for the schools. They are currently getting paid through NIL, name, image, likeness.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is every state is different. Every state, and even within states, schools are different. So don't you think there needs to be some regulation?
Well, I just think the thing that's going to, and again, then you're going to get to the point, how this translate over to players that, like we talked about, Caitlin Clark.
Oh, yes.
How it's going to transition to a player that's making more than she will be making once she gets to the next level, the pro level. How does that translate as far as the NIL and, again, what they'll be able to do? So will they be able to just regulate her money? Will that be part of the deal? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, how far does this go? Of course, the companies are just kind of take that from being an NIL deal to an endorsement deal. So it's a simple thing to do. But again, then you start looking at, should she stay in college?
Right. I think a lot of athletes, well, if you're a Caitlin Clark, you're going to make money. Yeah. Now, her starting salary, we were looking this up. Her starting salary for the WNBA is going to be $76,500.
Yeah.
Contrast that to the men starting at NBA, $1.1 million. Mm-hmm. So there's that discrepancy in inequality, shall we say. But Caitlin Clark also doesn't have any sponsorships through the collectives at Iowa. She has gone directly to national organizations. If you're a student who's working through your school's collective, mm-hmm. I think you have a completely different, I think you're right. How do we translate that? Why wouldn't you stay in school if you can make $1 million staying there? And especially for our female athletes who are going to make $76,000.
Yeah, make a lot less. Or if you're a guy that's projected in football to be maybe a free agent, you kind of weigh that. You weigh me going to the next level, especially if I got a year eligibility yet left. Do I want to go to the next level? Of course, you might not even make the team at the next level. So that money's not even really guaranteed in football. So you would have a harder decision to think about if you're a guy. To me, I would stay. I would stay, enjoy the college life. That's the best time of your life, some of the best time of your life.
Well, think about that. The average career in the NFL is
3.4 years.
Right. And you're going to school. You can play and you can redshirt. And so you could be at school for how long?
Yeah.
Maybe making NIL, even if you're not playing that
year.
Absolutely. You can still, because NIL theoretically doesn't have anything to do with your athletic playing.
Yeah.
It's all your name, image, likeness.
Yeah.
So you could make more and stay. And then how many people make it? How many of the guys actually make it to the NFL?
Exactly. Especially if you don't get drafted. If you're like the type of guys I'm talking about, it's a long odds. The odds are long against you to even make it in the NFL. So you're right about that. So again, it's interesting to see how this is going to go. They're going to have to, like you say, put some parameters on the amount of money being spent, just like they're going to have to put parameters on the transfer portal too. these
Oh
kids
boy.
just being able to just go and transfer. It's just, it's to me, it's just watering down the game. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. So I think you do more harm to the kids because you're going to face some tough times as adults. And I think going through tough times teaches you how to handle them. And if you're just able to just up and quit and just move on and do like you are in the transfer portal, I just don't think it teaches you the right things or the things that you're going to need to have later on down in life.
That's a good point. And I'm looking at it purely economically. If I could make $500 million on name, image, likeness for 4 or 5 years, and maybe, possibly, probably not make it in the NFL or the NBA, or I would stay in school and learn how to do social media and become an influencer.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. You're exactly right. And that's just open up another job career, just open up something else that these kids could go into, like you're saying, going to being influencers, learning how to do that because they are controlling their own name, image, and likeness. So, yeah. And then you go from there to the guys that are being paid. The NFL, the king of everything.
Yeah, I think name, image, likeness, and influencers is such an interesting topic because we think name, image, likeness, which was supposed to be you're doing the local car dealership, right? You're doing a commercial for them, and it's turned into how many followers do you have? Where are you on Instagram, YouTube? What's your channel look like? And what's the difference between an influencer and someone making money name, image, likeness? Is it just that they're playing sports?
You know what? No, because influencers, right? That's a great question. Because you're right. Yeah, you're right about that. Most of your influencers, I wouldn't consider them athletes. I would consider them your regular consumers or these kind of like these super consumers who have a big following.
Right.
Like you say, name, image, and likeness, I would say that's more on the athletic side. That's more using what you're able to do out there on the field. But like you're saying too,
which it's not supposed to be.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's interesting.
As I'm talking to an influencer here, we've been watching you and Dan Miller in the booth.
Oh man,
love that.
It's been great. I mean, they have just to have a winning season, just to call winning games. Because think about it, that was my first ones in 6 years. So that was my first really winning season in 6 years. So it felt great, man, for us to have the type of season we have. Then to almost get to the Super Bowl, it was just unbelievable. And the power of that thing now, people get to see us now, rather than just hear us. They get to see what goes on in there. Even our statistician,
I was going to say,
he's famous. Yeah, Mike Brada, he's a they call him the yellow sticker guy. He has all, So he has also. It's been great, and man, like I said, hopefully we could keep this thing rolling with the Lions.
Well, I'm going for the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, that'd be great.
A chance?
Yeah,
now we're full circle around to the draft again.
I know. It's gonna be a tougher road. We know that because again, when you finish the way the Lions finished, that means we play every divisional winner. So everybody that won their division, we're going to play them next year. So it's going to be a harder road. I know we got San Francisco back out there again, so it's going to be a harder road. We can take San Francisco. Yeah, man, we should have took them the first time. Yeah.
We just have to play 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Not just 2.
I know. I know. So, yeah, hopefully. So, yeah, I think Dan Campbell and I think Brad Holmes and Shillingham Ford, and I think they got this organization going in the right direction. I mean, I think, put it this way, we graded out better than the Kansas City Chiefs did. If you've seen what they gave their grades, I mean, they had the players, I don't know if you've seen that, but they had the players take a survey of their organization.
Oh,
Kansas City ownership, they gave them an F minus.
Oh no.
Facilities, they got like a D or F. And how they treat the players, they got an F in that. They got like 3 or 4 Fs and this the world champions. But again, a lot of that comes to roost when you're not winning. Those things come up, how you treat these players. And, they've been able to mask it because they got Patrick Mahomes, who's a great player, and he's able to do that. But
don't forget this Taylor Swift's
oh
boyfriend.
yeah,
Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
hey,
yeah, he plays too, right?
But kudos to the NFL for taking advantage of that too, to get their numbers up. I mean, they took advantage of that, and hey, man, you
Travis Kelce is a phenomenal player.
Yeah,
you have to give him that. But he chose wisely in girlfriends also.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Raymond's looking at me like, oh no, you can't bring up Swifties on a podcast.
I know.
So how did the Lions do when they graded?
The Lions did pretty good. They were 13th out of 32 teams. Kansas City was dead last.
Wow.
So yeah, the Lions were 13th. So they did pretty good. A lot of their things, facilities, they got good grades in. Ownership, Sheila Hamp got an A+. So ownership
phenomenal.
was an A+. Coach was an A+. So yeah, they did really well. So it was good to see, and they deserved it too, because they're trying to do a lot. As you know, they're still thinking about building a new facility, practice facility. They're looking at that. So they always want to bring the best and newest and greatest here for the player. So this is a destination spot now. It wasn't always like that. That guys always wanted to come here, but now I think Detroit has turned into a destination spot for a lot of free agents, and they won't have to go out and overpay these guys.
That is really exciting for Detroit.
Yeah.
That's exciting for us. It's exciting, bring it full circle around to the draft again. I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of people coming in and really looking at our city. Yeah, no, that's going to help, man. And again, you just think about what the University of Michigan did with winning the national championship this year, even though, their coach is in the NFL now. But I just think they brought a lot of eyes to the state of Michigan, to this region too, by the way they played throughout this year, going through a lot of adversity too. If you think about it, coach getting suspended on the plane. There was just a lot of things where those players could have just threw their hands up and said, forget it. But those guys, they persevered through, and man, they were able to win the national championship. So it's been a long time since the Nationals been here, since the 90s, since they've won a national championship here at the University of Michigan. So it's good to see. I think they kind of rubbed off on the Lions. So yeah, it's some good mojo. Yeah. So I want to ask a little bit of a behind the scenes question. How much does that really affect you as a player? If your coach is suspended when you're on the plane, or your coach is suspended, or all the NCAA troubles that Michigan went through this year, and they still persevered for the national championship. How much does that affect you?
I mean, you listen to the noise and you hear the noise out there, but I just think they had a bigger goal in mind. I think those guys just really wanted to win it. They've been in those games before. They came up short from winning it. So I think this time they really felt they had the team and really wanted to win it. So I don't think that what was going on with Coach Harbaugh, because they won all their games. So to me, they kind of looked past what was going on with him and concentrated on what they needed to concentrate on, which was winning their games on the field. So it'll be interesting to see how Sharon Moore, the new coach at Michigan, who was upgraded from the O-line coach and the OC to the head coach now. It'd be interesting to see how, because it's a different league now. This isn't the Big 10 anymore.
What is it, the Big 24?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, that's what they should call it. So it's a lot of good teams that come in here. They got a tougher schedule this year. But the great thing for him and his character is they didn't have a lot of guys lead through the transfer portal,
which is huge given the transfer portal and how easy it is to actually leave now. There's no wait period. You sign up, you go, which is allowing a lot of coaches to create a team from nothing, really.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. No grace period, especially when your coach leaves. I think you have a longer window for you to be able to leave, but they didn't have a mad exodus out of there. So that was a good thing for him. So hopefully he'll be able to take that and run with that, and like I say, build on that, because it's probably going to be, like I say, it'll definitely be a tougher year than the undefeated year they just went through. Yeah.
It's going to be fun to watch
Yeah.
Michigan sports this year. And we've got a new coach at Michigan State too.
Yeah, I like him. I like Coach Smith, Jonathan, right?
Jonathan, the second John Smith at MSU. Yes.
Yeah. So I like him. We actually had an interview with him. So we interviewed him probably a couple of months ago.
Mhm.
And I just like what he said, some of the stuff that he said he wants to do, the type of people that he wants to bring in, character people that he's looking at bringing in, tough, hard-nosed people that he's bringing in. And I think the quarterback came with him, didn't he? I think the
so.
quarterback came over with him from Oregon State. So that's always good when you could bring your quarterback over with you, a guy that knows the system and knows what you've been through, kind of knows the ropes of everything and knows how to just kind of, navigate some of the pitfalls that they're going to have, because it's going to be difficult on Michigan State this year. Yes. We talked about Michigan. Michigan State's going to have a tough road.
They definitely are. I think we have covered just about every sport in the state of Michigan at this point.
Yeah, that's a good
as
thing.
well as a few others.
Yes. A lot going on.
A lot going on.
Yeah.
So this has been a lot of fun.
Yes.
I enjoyed getting back together.
Yes,
getting the gang back together.
I know. This was great. So hopefully we'll keep it going and, have more current things, keep the topics current. So we'll keep it going.
We will definitely keep this going. So thank you for listening to Sports Law. Check us out on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spotify. We're looking forward to